All right, everybody. Good morning. I am Margie Remmers-Davis with Crystal Clear Cash Flow, creator of the fast and easy way to QuickBooks Online Pro Advisor certification. And I am so excited to be here today with you for our live stream where we're going to be walking through the exercises that you voted this week for this week in our Facebook group. If you are not a part of our Facebook group, if you're watching this recording later, there will be a link in the description that you can join us and make your voice heard. Let us know what you want to see in these live streams. We have surveys that you can participate in, and then we will walk through the exercises together. So here we are, and this week our first exercise, let me just share my screen here. That is the sample company. The number one choice that we had for people today was using tags. So we're going to be going over our first tag. We have put it in. If you didn't grab a copy of the exercise, Joel has put it in the chat. It's a super long link, you guys. It's a super long link, but we love our, actually, next time I will get a little bit shorter link for you. but anyway, so the link is there. So, and it's also in the Facebook group. We're going to be going over this using tags. Now, this is from one of our basic level courses. So we offer certification courses to help you get that basic level Pro Advisor certification as well as the advanced level certification. This exercise is one of the exercises in our basic level, an optional exercise that's in our basic level course. And then after this, we're going to do another tagging exercise that is from our advanced level course. But even if you're just at the basic level, you'll still be able to do it because I'm going to walk you right through the details. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to start in the sample company. Hopefully you're all set up and all ready to do that. And then let's talk through our scenario. So let me get my cursor out of the way. All right. So John's friend, or let me start over. Craig's friend, John, has been doing a great job spreading the word for Craig's services. He is curious to know just how much money he has made from John's referrals to Dylan Solfrank, Kate Whelan, and Cookies by Kathy. How can you track this for him? So we're going to go in, we're going to assign some tags and then be able to run those reports. So, or actually we don't even have to run reports, as you'll see in a minute. Okay, so this is a great opportunity to use tags. First, you're going to need to find the transactions for those customers and add the tag. So we're going to do that by going to the left nav bar. Oh, let me see, scroll down a little bit for you there. We're going to go to the left nav bar and go to customers. Now, there's a ton of ways that we could find these transactions, but because we know those three people that I put in the scenario, then we can find them this way. So we're going to go here. We're going to go to sales and then customers. And then the first one was Dylan Solfrank. We can just scroll down and there is Dylan. And here is a list of all of Dylan's transactions. So there's only one. There's this sales receipt. We're going to click on it. And I'm going to go back to the exercise here for a minute because I don't want to get ahead of myself. I have a tendency to do that. So here we are. Step one, we went to customers. Step two, we went to Dylan Solfrank. Actually, it should say, yeah, click Dylan Solfrank right there. Okay, so that's what we just did. Okay, so now, then we are now looking at the sales receipt. So we clicked the sales receipt. Okay, so now we're going to add that tag. We're going to type John in the tag field, add it, and then I'll walk you through it. Okay, so here we are. So here is that sales receipt. This is a sales receipt that has already been connected. So, or that has already been created. So now we're doing this after the fact. You could, if you were using tags, then when you created the sales receipt, you could add the tag at that point. So whether you're editing it, whether you're creating it new, doesn't matter. So here are the tags. So I'm just going to start typing some instructions there for you. I'm just going to start typing John. Okay. And when I do that, you'll see that it says plus add John. So this is all over the place. If you are at all familiar with QuickBooks Online, almost everywhere you can just hit this plus add button and then add the new thing. So we're just going to hit add John, and that's all there is to it. Now we've got a tag named John, and it's assigned to this sales receipt. And so I'm going to hit, let me go back to my thing. Okay, so this is what we just did. I'm going to go back to save and close. So right here, it says save and send, but if you're, you should know that if you just click this little arrow, then it will open up save and close. Okay, so we're going to hit save and close. Let me go back to my instructions. So that's what we just did. Click save and close. Step 6. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing for Kate Whelan. So I'm going to go to my customers. I'm going to go back to, if I just click customers here, then it'll pull up all of those customers. And I'm going to hit Kate Whelan. So I click Kate Whelan. And I'm just going to do the exact same thing. Open up her sales receipt. And now when I put in my cursor in the tag field, notice that John is pulled up there for me to just add John. He's already there. If I wanted to, I could add more. If I wanted to type, maybe he's got some other referral sources. So I could say Mary, and I would have that plus Mary there. But we're not doing that. We are just clicking John. So John, and then save and close. I will go back to my tab, my exercise here. So this is what we just did with Kate Whelan. Step 7. This is what we just did. Edit the sales receipt. I think I forgot to say save and close. So Joel, make a note that I forgot to click save and close for Kate's sales receipt. So I will update that. All right, so put your in, oh no, I'm sorry, I didn't. It was just in the next step. So the next one, put your cursor in the tags field. Notice that John is already there. Okay, so that's what we just did. And now we are going to do the same thing for Cookies by Kathy. So we are going to go to customers, Cookies by Kathy, the same thing. This time it's an invoice. I'm getting people in the chat saying, thank you so much for going over tags. Thank you. You are welcome. I'm happy to do this for you. So, all right. So here we are in the invoice. Invoice. I got distracted by Joel's text. Okay. And I'm going to put in the tag right here in the same way that we did that. We're going to go to save and close. Okay. All right. So now, all right. Now that the transactions have been tagged, it's time to answer Craig's question about how much money he has made from this referral relationship. Okay, so you could be using these tags for anything, right? I just put it as this is a particular example, but anytime you want to group certain transactions, these all happen to be money in transactions. You could also do money out transactions, and we'll take a look at that. So now we're going to go to the banking tab and select, or the banking center and select tags. So let's do that. We're going to go back to our sample company. I'm going to go to banking and select tags. And you'll notice right here, it says this is the amount of money that has been tagged. Now, we only set up tags for John right now. So this says John, these are the total transactions that have been tagged with John, and this is the same total. But if we had multiple, like if I had a Mary tag and I had multiple referral sources, you would see that it would say John this much, Mary this much, and then here is the total. So if I scroll down here, would be listing all of the tags that I had set up, and I can quickly go to the see the 3 transactions, and will tell me how many transactions. I can click this and it would open up and show me right here just a list of the transactions that have that tag. If I go back to that, so here, then I also can click Run Report, and that will show me a profit and loss based on that particular tag that I just selected. Notice that it doesn't say anything about that. Doesn't say, well, it's here, it says like John, right? So with any report, you want to edit titles to make sure that you know what the report is. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to go back, and that is the very basics of setting tags. Now you could there's something called tag groups, which is like if you were doing different kinds of tags. So maybe you're doing tags for your referral sources, like we're doing. And so we had just a tag group called referral sources. And then inside that is John and Mary and, whomever else. So then you could report by tag group. And then you could also have a different tag group that was, say, I don't know, location or something. I think I have another exercise somewhere where we tag commercial versus residential. Okay. So anyway, so that is the basic use. Now, unfortunately, there aren't a whole lot of reports yet, and I've actually complained about this to Intuit just this week. There aren't a whole lot of reports yet. You're pretty limited to those just list of transactions by tag and the profit and loss by tag, but hopefully that's going to become more and more. I think they want us to really use that more than say classes, which is, it has a kind of similar use. All right. So that was our first. Let me just click through this, make sure I didn't skip anything. All right. So from here, you can do the following. See the total number of transactions tagged, the total number of transactions tagged John. Click the specific transactions that are tagged John, click the profit and loss for John's tagged transactions. So we covered all of that. So that exercise is done. Check. We're done with our first exercise. All right, so next, as I mentioned, is a more advanced. It's not that advanced. You're going to be just fine doing it. It does come from the advanced level course because this is something that is covered on the advanced test, and that is simply batch tagging. So what we've done just now is we have tagged those individual transactions. We went through each one and marked it for John, right? Well, now we're going to see how we can do a whole bunch of transactions at once and mark them as John. Okay. So like with the other, then, and you're welcome. You know what, guys, if you don't connect StreamYard to Facebook, I can't see who it is that's commenting. So it just says Facebook user, but whoever you are, you're welcome. Happy to do it. Joel, if you could if you have the link, streamyard.com/Facebook, I think it is, that allows you to give permission to, if you as the Facebook user can give StreamYard permission, then I can see your comments. So, all right, I can see your comments either way. This way, I can see who you are. Anyway, so here we are back to our advanced level exercise, which is batch tagging. So the scenario, in a previous exercise, the one we just did, we mentioned that Craig's friend John had been doing a great job spreading the word for Craig's services. Craig was curious to know just how much money he had made from John's referrals, so we added the tag to a handful of transactions. Well, now Craig has realized that in addition to those few clients, John was also instrumental in landing Amy's bird sanctuary, which Craig has done a lot of work for. Let's see how we can add John's tag to those transactions all at once rather than individual. Brock connected StreamYard. Yay, I can see who you are. Thank you. That helps me a lot. All right. So let's see how we can tag all of Amy's transactions. Okay, so step 1, from the left nav bar, select banking and then tags, which is what we did, banking and tags. All right, and now the next 2 steps are if you have not already created the tag. Okay, so we already created that tag, so we don't need to do step 2, but let me just show you. So I'm back in the sample company, and then right here, I would say new, and it could say either tag group, like I mentioned a minute ago, or tag. And then right here is where you would say, if I were going to add Mary, then that's where it would be. Notice, and this is really important. Actually, I'm going to say that later. I'm going to reserve that because that'll be important later. All right, so that's how you would add a new tag right from this. Step 3, I just showed you. Okay, so this is if you have not done the exercise that we just did. So if you're doing this fresh. Okay, so now here we are, step 4. We are going to click to see all the untagged transactions. And that right here is this, see all untagged transactions. Okay, and here are all the transactions in all of QBO, actually not all of QBO, just the last 365 days. You can see there. You can filter it down so you can find things, which I think is what we're going to do next. So let's go to step 5. We're going to use that filter, and we're going to find just Amy's bird sanctuary transactions. So I'm going to click there and filters and contact. So it's already set. You can see what the filters are right here. It's currently last 365 days, untagged. So now I'm going to add this by contact. So I'm going to look for Amy's bird sanctuary and then apply. And here's all of the Amy's bird sanctuary. Okay. And step 6, we're going to click the button or the box, checkbox at the top of the column to select all of them. Then we're going to select update tags and add tags. So here is that checkbox up at the top. And we're going to check all of them. And now we have this black bar that appears. Oh, Irvin connected with StreamYard too. Thank you. All right. So now we have this black bar that appears. We're going to select update tags and add a tag. Okay, and now right here is where we're going to add John. This is what I was going to say earlier. Notice that I do not have the ability here to create a new tag. I don't have that plus add new button. Like if I tried to type Mary, it would just say no matching tags. I cannot add it here. This is really unusual in QBO. Because usually in almost any field, if you type it and it doesn't exist, you can just add it right there. But there are a handful of places in QBO that don't give you that plus add new, and this is one of them. So in order to use this feature, you have to have already created the tag. All right, which we did. We created it previously. And there's John. We are going to apply it. And there's no transactions found. Why? Because we still have the untagged filter on. Let me go back to my exercise because I tend to get ahead of myself. Okay, so we did that. And then you'll notice right here, I put the note. Notice that unlike other fields in QBO, there's no plus add new. All right, and then step 8, we're going to go back to click all tags. So here we are, and I'm going to click this up here, all tags. And once I do that, notice what happened. Total money in now, it went up because it included all of those tags for Amy's bird sanctuary. Notice that this is now 7 transactions because it was the 3 that we had set up already, and then 4. If you were doing this in, if you hadn't done that previous exercise in the same sample company section, you would only see 4 transactions here for Amy. Okay, so it's a little, and I say that in here, step 9. So in this example here, it's only 722. That's because in this exercise, it was only Amy's transactions, and for us, we just did the other one, so that's why it's all included. Okay. All right. That's it for tags. It's really not a big deal. It's really not a big deal. It does get a little bit more complicated if there are tag groups. I don't have an exercise about tag groups because honestly, it's not on the test. It's not, and I really focus right now mostly on exercises that are just, things that are covered on the test. But if you would like to see an exercise, if you would like to learn more about group tags, then, or you'd like to see, some more how it would compare if we had both John and Mary tags, then let us know. We are definitely put that in the group because we are always collecting suggestions on what exercises you would like to do hands-on, what you want to learn next. All right, any questions about tags before we move on to our next subject, which is recurring transactions? Let me just check the comments. I'm not seeing any questions about tagging. So, all right. So we will move on to recurring transactions. Now, recurring transactions is something that you will be using all the time. You should be using them all the time to schedule things that you know are coming up. If the can you run, sorry, just a second. Dana says, can you run a P&L with tags? Yes, and I showed that already. I closed it down, but yes, when you click in the tag report, you click, or in the tag center, when you click run report for a tag, that is a P&L. But then you can also go into the tag center, or I'm sorry, you can also go in the report center, and there is a report in there for P&L by tag. So yeah, both of those are available. All right, back to recurring transactions. Recurring transactions are something that you're going to be using all of the time. And I just have this one exercise in here, but the reason that I picked this one is so important, guys. As bookkeepers, you need to be charging for your services on the first of the month, every month, and just automatically charging a credit card or taking it out of their bank account. Like, as a bookkeeper, you should not be sending invoices, and you should not be, because if you send an invoice, you have to chase them for a payment. So don't do it. You want to have a recurring transaction that automatically charges their credit card every time. So that's what this exercise is doing. So I see that Irvin says he would like to see an example about group tags. So Joel, if you could add that to our list for Lynn, because Lynn is collecting all of those suggestions. All right, so let's talk about how you would do that, how you would charge a credit card every month in QBO. Guys, you have to do this. If you're going to be a bookkeeper, you have to do this. You have to know how to do this. All right, so scenario is obviously for Craig, not for you. So we'll just talk through it. Craig just signed on Gita Kalapadapu. I hope that's right. Sorry if you know that language and I'm messing it up. As a new client for weekly gardening. Rather than getting a bill that she has to remember to pay, Gita asked Craig if he could just charge her credit card on the 10th of every month. Luckily, Craig has already signed up for QuickBooks Payments, so he can do this right through QBO. Okay. This is really important. If you are going to either charge somebody's credit card every month or do a automatic debit, an ACH transaction of their every month, then you have to have signed up for QuickBooks Payments. If you haven't signed up for QuickBooks Payments, I highly recommend that you do that. That is basically their merchant account that they will process credit cards for you. It is an application process. You have to sign up for it, but it is so worth it. It's so worth it to have that ability to just take payments like that. So I highly recommend that you have QuickBooks Payments, and this what I'm about to show you will only work if you have signed up for it. The recurring transactions in general, obviously that doesn't need QuickBooks Payments, but charging somebody's credit card every month does. So let's take a look at how we're going to set this up. Okay, so step one, because this is payment at the time of the sale, you're going to use a sales receipt for the transaction. Okay, remember the difference between a sales receipt and an invoice. Sales receipt is payment at the time of the sale. Invoice is payment later. Okay, so invoice, we send them an invoice, we have terms, they're going to pay 30 days later, whatever it is, but invoice and then payment is later. Sales receipt, payment happens at that moment. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So we're going to use a sales receipt. So back to our sample company, plus new, and then sales receipt. Okay, so steps 2 through 4, we are going to select Gita as the customer. Let me go ahead and do that. Gita. So there she is. Okay, step 3, in the product and service field, we're going to select weekly gardening service. So right down here, I'm going to type weekly. Oh, my picture is hiding it. There it is. Weekly, and then when I do that, it allows me to select weekly gardening services. All right, let me put that back. Okay. All right, we're going to charge, I think I said $250 a month, right? So $250 right here. Our rate is $250. Okay, so that's the sales receipt. Now, here's the magic of charging the credit card. And that is this field right here, which is the payment method. Let me go back to our thing. Okay, so now we're on step 5. Okay, in the payment method, okay, we're going to select MasterCard. Now, because this is the sample company, and the sample company doesn't have a QuickBooks Payments account, it's going to look a little bit different, but I'm going to show you what it will look like in a real account. Okay, so here in payment method, you would select a credit card. You have to set it up as a payment method, and there's a little checkbox that says, it'll say, is this a credit card? And you say, yes, this is a credit card. And if you select that, then you will get a different screen, and I showed you a picture of it in the exercise right here under important note. Okay, so let's look at this screen. So under payment method, okay, this is my actual account. I have a payment method set up that's just called credit card, because I don't care whether it's a Visa, Master, Discover. The only reason it says MasterCard in the sample company is because that's what the sample company people set up. Okay, so in my own personal account, I just call it credit card. Okay, as soon as I select that from the dropdown, I get this button that says enter credit card details. When I do that, the deposit to field disappears. So let me go back to the sample company so you can see this. Okay, so here is the payment method. Okay, so notice right here it says deposit to. Okay, this is because it's the sample company. In a real company, if this were selected as a credit card, this field would disappear. And let me show you. Here's the picture again of what it is. The deposit to disappears. That's because when you have QuickBooks payments, the deposit to is set in your settings, your company settings. In my case, company settings, or accountant settings if it were a client. Okay. So here's my settings. Here's payments. Okay. And then it says deposit accounts. So that's where it's connected. That's where the deposit to money goes. And you set that up when you have QuickBooks payments. That's when you set it up. You say, okay, QuickBooks is going to collect my money on my behalf. And then the QuickBooks says, well, we're going to collect this money on your behalf. Where do you want us to put it? And then I say, oh, I'm going to put it in my, business checking account. Okay. And that's set up in settings. So, and then this checkbox right here says, do you want to process this credit card? Okay. Because I am actually charging the card. This would be very similar if it's ACH, if you have a payment method, and the payment method, I don't have this in here. So this is a tip that for you guys being on here live, because I don't have it in the exercise. The payment method has to say, if you want it to be debited, it has to be called ACH. Can't be called anything else. Can't be called debit, can't be called anything else. It has to be called ACH. And if it says ACH, then when you select it here, instead of saying enter credit card details, it'll say enter bank details. And so that's when you would put in their routing number and their account number. Okay. So that's how you charge. You're going to put that in. Let's go back to our sample company. Okay, well, first let me go back to step 6. Okay, so now we have set up our payment method. If this were real, we're going to charge that credit card, right? And now what we want to do is we want to make this recurring. Okay, so the way we do that is we click right here, make recurring. All right, so now we're on steps 7 through 9. Okay, because Craig wants to automatically charge Gita's credit card every month, we're going to leave the type as scheduled. Okay, so let's talk through that. Right here we have, for type, we have scheduled, reminder, and unscheduled. Okay, scheduled means that it's going to automatically happen. It's going to automatically happen. And in our case, I like to have a little bit of warning for when these things are going to happen. So I typically, for my own stuff, I put in a week, but we'll just say 3 days is what I put in the exercise. We'll just say 3 days in advance, so we know that this is coming. Okay, but it's actually going to happen on the day that we set up. Okay, so that's if it's scheduled. If it is a reminder, then it's scheduled, but it doesn't actually show up in the register. You have to actually click it to make it happen. And I'll show you what it looks like to have that reminder in just a minute. Unscheduled means it's not on a schedule at all. It's basically just a template that you have saved for future use when you want to do it sometime. Okay, so but for Gita, it is going to be scheduled. So we're doing scheduled, and we're going to say 3 days in advance. Okay, so that was step 7. Step 8, Gita asked if Craig could charge her credit card on the 10th of every month. So we're going to use the interval right here, the interval, and it's monthly, but it's not going to be the 1st, it's going to be the 10th. Okay. And then the start date, if we wanted it to start sometime way in the future, we would put that start date. But if you leave it blank, it'll just do the next one in the schedule. So I always leave it blank. Okay. And then all of that stuff is already there. Okay. On the 10th of every month, as discussed previously, remember that the payment method will be different in a real life scenario. So let me just show you that. So here is this, what we're making recurring. This right here in the sample company in this exercise, it says it's going to be, deposits checking. But for our purpose in a real life scenario, it would be what I showed you before. Okay. All right. And then we're going to click Save Template. Before we do that, so while this is still on the screen, oh, actually, no, I can. Okay. So Save Template. Okay. So now that is saved. If I want to go back and see all of my recurring transactions, I go to the gear icon and select recurring transactions. This isn't in the exercise, I'm just showing it to you. And so here's the one that we just set up. Gita schedules sales receipt every month and how much it is, all that good stuff. Okay, now if we had set it to reminder, remember I had said, so we have the type here and it can either be it can either be scheduled, unscheduled, or reminder. So one of the questions I always had when I was learning was like, where does the reminder show up? Am I going to get an email? Is it going to get a pop-up? And the answer is that it's kind of buried, which is unfortunate. And for some reason, it doesn't show up in the sample company. So I'm going to show you. So in my exercise here, I have at the bottom a copy, what it looks like in my actual account, my real account, because I do have a reminder of some things. So if you go to the dashboard and you select Get Things Done, now the sample company does have a Get Things Done tab, so it's similar. And it will show up right here. So here is the, here's what it looks like. There's this little tasks tab before the workspace. So I have some tax stuff coming up. And then also it says respond to your recurring template reminders. And so I just click view reminders and then I can see what it is that I have coming up. Okay. All right. That is it for recurring transactions. Who has a question about question about recurring transactions? And by the way, too, this is another thing. I just have this one exercise on recurring transactions. I picked the most important for you as a bookkeeper, but there are so many other recurring transactions we could set up if you want me to build exercises for those. So let me know if that's what you would like to see. All right. Any other questions about recurring transactions? I'm going to give you just a second because last time there was a question after I closed it out, and started on the next thing. So any questions about, I see somebody who did not connect to StreamYard said, yes, please. I don't know what that means. Does that mean just you want more recurring transaction exercises? I think that's what she means. He or she means. Okay. All right. Any questions about recurring transactions? Do you always send the receipt to your clients? Yeah, I would. Yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't. So yeah. All right. Anything else? Irvin says, I have never used tags or classes. So classes are a topic that's covered in the advanced level course. So Irvin, I don't know where you are in the, in your training, but classes is one of the things that's covered more there. Yeah, and tags are a fairly new feature. And I think they're really hoping it would catch on. I don't know. What happens if you need to cancel a scheduled transaction? That is an excellent question. So for mine, because I use primarily reminders, I have a little option that says skip. When I go to, it pops up what my reminders are, and then I could either use it or I could just say skip this one. I assume that for the scheduled ones, it's the same. So let me just see real quick. Recurring transactions. Let's see. Action. So use duplicate. Use. Those are scheduled. So here is skip next date. So this is what I see on one that's a reminder. So I have this one that says skip next date. Oh, this one, I can't skip because the next date is in the past. I don't know. These are the sample company transactions. So yeah. So I don't know what the deal is with these two, but I suspect that it's more along the lines on this one where you could just skip the next date if you want to, or if you want to delete it, you can delete it entirely. All right. I think that is what you needed, Emma. All right. So Irvin says he's on the basic stages. That is related to my question earlier about where he's in the journey. So yeah. So when you get to advanced, that's when you can learn more about classes. All right. We are moving on to our next topic, which I wasn't sure we were going to get to today, but we have time, so we're going to do it. We're going to power through, and that is management reports. So this was also, so management reports actually tied in the survey with recurring transactions. And, but I chose recurring transactions because I wanted to make sure that you guys knew how to charge somebody's credit card every month. Guys, you have to be doing that. All right. So this one tied. So I'm glad that we have the opportunity to go through it today. All right, so let's talk about when you would use management reports. Craig's business is growing and he would like to expand to another location. However, he thinks he needs some outside money and help to do it. He is excited to tell you that he met an investor who would like to see some numbers and have an initial conversation. The investor has asked for the balance sheet, profit and loss statements for this year compared to last year, as well as an inventory valuation summary report. Craig would also like to include a cover letter and have everything packaged together in one PDF to send off to the investor. How would you accomplish this for him? All right, well, luckily, QuickBooks Online has a feature called management reports that allows you to put together this nice professionally designed package of reports. And we are going to see how to do that. Okay, so we're going to go to the left nav bar, click reports, and then click the management reports tab. So here we are, reports. Then we have management reports. All right, I'm just going to say, I was just debating whether I should say it. Why is it that all of these things you can just hover and get all the tabs, right? But reports, you can't. Why can't I hover and get standard, custom, and management reports? I don't know because it's Intuit. They do crazy things. Anyway, so you have to click into reports, then you have to click management reports. Okay. So we're going to go step 2. Intuit always recommends that you copy the included management report templates and then work from the copy. Okay, so that they recommend that you always keep the one that they set up so that you can go back to it if not, basically in case you screw anything up. Right? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go to the recurring transactions. We're going to use this one called Company Overview. we're going to click the arrow and select copy. Okay, so now we have a company overview -1. So that's what we just did in this step. Step 3. Now we're going to click the arrow in the action column of the newly created company overview -1 report and select edit. Okay, so click edit. All right, and here we have lots of sample company, guys. And in fact, I think if you did this in a real account, you'd get a lot of these pop-ups too. All right, so for management report, the first thing we're going to do is change the name, and we're going to call this investor. So company interview or company overview -investor. All right, that was steps 4 through 6. Okay, so we changed the template to the company overview. Okay, now we're going to change the report title to investor report. Okay, so we're going to, the cover title right here, instead of management report, we're going to change that to say investor report. And then notice when I tab out of that, it changes kind of our sample here. So our sample here tells us this is the cover page, like this is what it's going to look like. And you can make all these changes here. It's pretty limited. I mean, you can't completely redesign it. The whole point is they designed it for you. So it's fairly limited. You could add your logo to it, but there is some flexibility if you wanted to. I'm giving you these exercises so that you can actually go in and do it hands-on yourself. So I hope you take advantage of that to do that. All right. So anyway, so that is, let's see, I think that's all we're going to do here. Oh, now we're going to go to preliminary pages. Okay. And preliminary pages are right here. You could, by the way, look at the table of contents. I don't know why my screen is not showing a table of contents, but it should be. There it is. That was weird. Okay, so right now the table of contents just has the profit and loss and the balance sheet. That will change. We'll take a look at that more later. But now we're going to go to the preliminary pages. And let's go take another look at our exercise. So now we're on steps 7 through 9. Okay, so this preliminary pages, this is what's going to go before the reports. So this is where we're going to add that cover letter that Craig wants to include. This is where we're going to put it. And we could put as many pages here as we wanted. You'll see, I'm going to go back to management reports. Okay, so now, first of all, include this page. We're going to give it a title. In order for it to show up in the table of contents, it has to have a title. So we're just going to, I think I called it introduction. Yeah, introduction. We're just going to call it introduction here. Okay. And so that's what's going to show up in the table of contents. It's also going to show up at the top of the page. So you'll see that in a little bit. And then, so here is the text where you would type Craig's cover letter. I always like to put a blank space at the top because, as you'll see in a minute, if you don't, it'll bump right up to the header. So I'm just going to put Dear Investor. And then that's all I'm going to put for it. You can write as much as you want in your sample, but in my exercise, I just have right here, the blank space, then Dear Investor. Okay. And so that's all we're going to do. And then we're going to click reports. So now we're going to decide what reports we want to include in this package. Okay, so the first thing, so we have, this is automatically included because this is the company overview. If we had selected one of those other two, I think sales performance and financial reports. I can't remember what the other two are, but anyway, they have a different collection of reports in there, but you can completely adjust what reports are included. And that's what we're going to do here. So the first thing, they wanted to see the balance sheet first. So we're just going to reorder this. I'm going to drag these little dots and move the balance sheet. Whoops, move the balance sheet up. Now, some of you may be thinking to yourself, but wait, the Intuit training specifically says that you can't reorder them. Guess what? You can, but you still have to answer on the test that you can't reorder them. So anyway, I guess this is new functionality, the ability to order like that. Okay. All right. So the next one is profit and loss. But we wanted, remember in our scenario, we wanted to compare, the investor wanted to see this year compared to last year. So I'm just going to click this row, and that will open up what I can adjust here. I could adjust the title if I wanted to. I could adjust the period. And right here, I'm going to say compare previous year. And that will, that's as much customization as I can do. If I needed a highly customized report, then I would have to create a customized report outside of the Management Report Center. I would have to create that and then add it to a report here. So you're very limited. So somebody says they have to go, but they have the exercise. They're going to work on them later. Excellent. All right. So now we're going to say, we're just going to click in here. This is the thing that's kind of confusing. To close this up, you just click anywhere in this blank space. And then we're going to add, they wanted to see an inventory valuation summary report. So we're going to click add new report and add inventory. Oops, if I can type in inventory valuation detail summary. Okay, and there it is, added to the reports. Let's go back to the exercise because I tend to get ahead of myself. Let's see, we talked about clicking and dragging, compare opening and closing. Now we just added the inventory valuation summary report. And now let's take a look at what our report looks like. And we can do that at any time to print or preview. Somebody is asking, what test does that ask on? Why in the world would they not update that on the test? All right, so management reports is covered in the basic level test. And I don't know why. They don't update they only update the test. Well, that's not true. I mean, they do their big update of the test once a year, and they don't make changes inside the test. Sometimes they'll change questions. If there is a huge new functionality thing or name change or something, they'll change it, but they don't add like little things. So all the time in the test, there will be things that don't match the current reality of QuickBooks Online. That's just the way it is. That's just the way Intuit works. That's why we have our Fast and Easy QBO courses, because we're always teaching you exactly what's on the test. And we'll point out we'll point out, how it's different than current, but then we'll also say, in the test, you can't do this. So yeah, anyway. All right, so back to our management report. So click print or preview, and you can do this at any point to see, how your report is looking. And we can just scroll through this and see. So there's our cover page. So now you notice that the table of contents is updated with the introduction. There's my letter. Notice how it doesn't, like this was the blank space that I added. So if I hadn't added that blank space, it would be right up against that line. there's our cover letter. Here's our balance sheet. Here is our profit and loss. Oh, look at that. It didn't compare it, even though we told it to compare. Well, that's into it for you. Okay. And then inventory valuation detail or inventory valuation summary. Okay. All right. So that's just glancing at that. And the last thing we have to do is we have to create a PDF so that we can send it off to the investor. So back to our exercise, step 14, our last step is we need to just create a PDF. And what we're going to do, we're going to go back to our management report. We're going to save and close because we've made all these changes. And here is our company overview investor report. And we're just going to click the down arrow, and then we would export as PDF. So that's how you do it. That's it for management reports. And I'm so glad we got that exercise in because that was what everyone voted on. All right. So as some of you may have heard, I am headed to a conference next week. So there will not be a live stream next week. And we are making some changes to the way the Facebook group is going to be managing all these exercises. These first couple of weeks that we set up was really just so we could find out of the exercises that I had not created yet, what you wanted. And so now I'm getting all of those finished up. Oh, I should take this off so you can actually see me. Okay. So now we're getting those all finished up. So now you'll have an opportunity to vote on what other exercises you'd like me to walk through or what exercises you'd like me to create. And then we have coming up in November, I'll be working on the new Fast and Easy QBO test or our course that accompanies the new test. And I'll be releasing the exercises that go with that in November. And we have so many more exciting things happening. So anyway, that's it for me. Brock says at Intuit, we are recruiting for QB Live employees. Brock, do you work for Intuit? I mean, I take it through. Oh, I went through your course, got certified, and was hired. It's a great job. All right. Good to know. So anybody who wants to work for Intuit, connect with Brock. I don't know. Maybe he gets a referral or something. All right. Let's see. If there's anything I missed on. Thank you. Happy Friday to you, Dana. Lane says I'm amazing. Oh, thanks, guys. Thanks, guys. All right. Let's see what other comments, questions. Wrapping it up here. So anyone can reach out to Brock if they are interested in getting a job with Facebook Live. It does require that you have your certification. So reach out to me, of course, fastandeasyqbo.com if you need help with that certification. Oh my gosh, Vanita says she can't wait to see the updated course. We have, it's going to blow your mind. It's going to blow your mind. If you have ever taken a Fast and Easy QBO course before and loved it, like this is 10x. Like this is going to be, we're so excited about what the next year is going to be like. You are just going to love it so much. All right. That is it for me. Has that? Okay. All right, that's it for me. You guys have a great weekend, and I will check in the group every so often from Florida, which is where the conference is. And you guys take care. I'll see you next time.